Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Vincent, and today I want to talk a little bit about Monster Hunter Wilds, the new title from Capcom that has been all the rage lately. So, the 28th of February came and went, and droves of players have flooded the titular wilds to hunt down all manner of creatures, all for the sake of maintaining the natural order of the wilderness, or so the game would have you believe. As hunters, you and I both know that we don't really care about maintaining the environment. We're here for the challenge, for the glory of victory, for the thrill of the hunt, and for the joy of making kick-ass weapons and armor out of their corpses. Honestly, we're just psychopathic battle maniacs cloaking our thirst for blood in the shrouds of righteousness while we masquerade as members of PETA. And that's exactly what happened on launch weekend, with Steam charts showing a 1.3 million player peak and a 1.2 million concurrent player count right at the time of writing. This just goes to show that the craving for hunting games is not only alive and well, but stronger than ever. It's just a shame that there aren't that many games in this genre to make the scene a little more competitive. RIP Dauntless, you will be missed. Monster Hunter Wilds was developed with the core principle of making hunts as fun as possible for you, the player. You can feel it in how the game feels to play, in its attention to detail, and in its quality of life changes that help newer players not become exhausted from the tediousness of the hunting cycle. Surely, with this many things going well for it, the reception for Wilds should be monumentally good, right? Believe it or not, the game is currently sitting at a mixed rating on Steam, and while it does hurt my heart to see, I can't exactly say it's not earned. But first and foremost, allow me to glaze this game because holy shit, it's a lot of fun to play. The basic rundown of the game is like this. Prepare your gear and supplies, hunt a monster, return home with its remains, and craft newer and more powerful pieces of gear to completely dominate the wildlife. They removed a lot of the friction when it comes to prepping for a hunt, since camp facilities are placed close together, requiring much less movement, and the camp itself is part of the open world, meaning you no longer have to sit through loading screens when starting or finishing a hunt. The new mount, the Seikret, makes traveling the world a much more seamless affair, providing fast and smooth travel, and auto-patting features along with other improvements such as allowing you to sharpen your weapon and drink potions while riding, as well as letting you swap to a secondary weapon if you so choose. In combat, the Seikret will help you to your feet if a monster manages to knock you on your back, which, let's be honest, will happen more often than not, and will provide you with easy access to dismounting and jumping attacks to facilitate an easier time mounting the monster. There's also a simple form of mounted combat, but you won't be using those as they have very minimal impact in a fight. And since it would be a massive pain if you had to constantly mount and dismount whenever you had to gather things out in the world, they decided to allow gathering straight from the Seikret's back or by using the grappling hook. Honestly, I don't know why, but I'm much more attached to the Seikret than I ever was to the dogs in Monster Hunter Rise. The story for Wilds is okay, but if you're a longtime Monster Hunter fan, you know you don't come to this series for the stories. Yes, the story is by far the best Capcom's ever put in a Monster Hunter title, but that's not saying much since the bar has always been pretty low. It's not a bad story though, just decent. At some points, I found myself skimming through the dialogue text because I was just that eager to get back to hunting. If I had to mention one aspect of the story that I hated, then that would be the sections where you were forced to slowly walk on your mount as characters gleefully talked about how beautiful the environment was, like a bunch of nature nerds. I will admit though that the story did give us something precious, and that is every single moment where our handler, Alma, says by order of the guild.
The guild authorizes you to slay the guardian archvote.
Whenever I heard that magic phrase, I knew shit was about to go down, and I became more excited than a kid in a candy store. It didn't matter to me if I was fighting a Chatacabra or a Gravios. I was locked in the second that phrase escaped Alma's lips. Of course, combat has also been touched up with new movesets for every weapon, but by far the most enjoyable new feature added to the game is the focus mode. I don't know about you, but I cannot live without focus mode anymore because this allows me to change the direction of my attacks on the fly. The combat of Monster Hunter was always feeling clunky with big moves that can't be cancelled, but this was always intended to make the player think carefully about whether to play it safe or risk locking themselves into a long attack animation for big damage payoff. We all know the pain of missing a true charge slash just because the monster moved an inch to the left, but now that's all a thing of the past. Honestly, focus mode almost feels like cheating. It also had the unintended side effect of having keyboard and mouse completely replace game controllers as the best way to play. Aside from the smooth aiming, focus mode also allows you to see the wounds you create on a monster, and by using a focus attack on them, you can cause severe damage to the monster and maybe even knock them down. This feature better be in the next game, Capcom. Do you hear me? By order of the guild, you are not authorized to remove focus mode from the series now and forevermore. This time around, I've put to rest the Way of the Sword and instead picked up a gun lance because out of all the weapons that are capable of clashing, this one feels the most satisfying to me. Oh, right, I didn't mention what clashing is at all. Basically, if you guard or parry enough of a monster's attacks, you will enter into a contest of strength against the monster, each of you trying to overpower the other. There's something really primal about holding a giant beast at bay with a shield, reloading your gun lance, and then unloading everything you have straight down its gullet. That sounded differently in my head. Anyway, the game loop of Monster Hunter Wilds is addicting, almost terrifyingly so. There is very little downtime in between hunts thanks to the Seikret, and the lack of loading screens keeps the player's focus only on the fight against the big bad monstrosity. You can't really tell where the time flies because all you're thinking about is killing enough monsters to get enough materials to craft the next shiny piece of new gear that will finally complete your build. And if by some chance you got unlucky and the material you needed didn't drop, then don't worry, there's always time for another hunt. And another, and another, and another. Alright, I got the item I needed. That didn't take too long. That was like, what, 40 minutes? I can go to bed early and get a full night's rest. Oh. Of course, it couldn't all be just sunshine and rainbows, as the game suffers from severe performance and optimization issues on PC, and that is actually the main reason why Monster Hunter Wilds is sitting at a mixed rating on Steam. The review section is full of people complaining about graphical issues, frame rate drops, and a clunky multiplayer experience. From my personal experience, I can confirm all three of these claims. I don't have the latest hardware in PC gaming, but I easily cleared the recommended requirements for the game, and I still had random moments where my frame rate dropped to like 2 frames per second for no apparent reason. Have you ever tried fighting a chemitress at 2 FPS? Believe you me, it isn't fun not being able to do anything as you're staring down an aggressive-looking oversized cock. There was also a section in the icy biome where graphics were tearing in such a way that I thought that my camera was phasing through an object somewhere, but no, it was just that broken. As for the multiplayer, when I tried joining my friends on a hunt, we had to go through this laborious process of being invited to a link party, then having to link the environment to the party. It's just really clunky. I had a much more seamless experience when partying up with strangers that just happened to be in the same online lobby as me. Having trouble partying up, however, is not the worst issue I've encountered while playing with others. The most peculiar bug I've encountered was when I joined a friend for a hunt and the monster we were targeting was invisible. The hits kept registering as I was seeing damage numbers, but no matter how much time I spent attacking, the monster just wouldn't die. And why the hell can't we do main story quests as a party, Capcom? I want to be able to help my friends out. I don't care if my character won't show up in their cutscenes. Just let me help my friends catch up to where I'm at. This is a game that asks $70 for the base game alone, $90 for the deluxe edition, and $110 for the premium deluxe edition. For that price, it's not absurd to ask for a well-functioning game at launch, but for some reason, Capcom thought the game is fine as it is. There's also the issue that, according to longtime veterans, Wilds is the easiest game in the series. There are complaints that the game was dumbed down and made too easy in an attempt to make the game friendlier to newcomers. I completely understand this sentiment, however, I don't think that the core Monster Hunter experience has been damaged as a result of these changes. In fact, all of the quality of life only serves to keep the player engaged with its core activity, aka the hunt. But even with the game being in the state that it is, nobody can deny how good the game actually is to play. At least, when you're not being invaded by the framerate monster. Like it or not, there's something to be said about a game that has terrible performance and optimization, but still manages to maintain over a million player peak in the last 24 hours. I mean, look at me. Taking the time to make this video is physically hurting me because it's keeping me away from the game. All I want to do is head back in and hunt over and over and over. It's really a shame. I can only imagine how much more successful the game would have been had the PC port been better, because at that point, it would have had an overwhelmingly positive rating. I bet money on it. And it's much easier to make a purchasing decision when you see a game that's been highly rated by other players. And yet, despite all of its flaws, the game undoubtedly remains an extremely fun experience for gamers all around the world, myself included. And guess what? this video is almost over, and you know what that means? Yup, it means that me and Mia Khalifa have a date with a high-rank Arkveld. Oh god, oh god, oh god! No! Shit, 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 shit! Oh, come on! It's on its last legs! Kill it! Please die! Please die! Oh my god! That thing beat the shit out of me. So, yeah, Monster Hunter Wilds, everyone. Good game, poor performance, but still a damn good time. And with that, we have reached the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and a sub, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, have a good one.